Wow, yeah, this is a big old piece. All right, what's up, wheelers? Usually I run an SPOD, like in the JKs, I'll run an SPOD because they can get the switches up over the mirror. They're rocker switches, tactile, I like that. It's got nice feedback when you're wheeling, so you know that you hit them. In the JLs, I run a Switch Pro, and it's got 8 switches. When we mount it, it goes below the grab handle, right inside there. But on this one, we're going to install the VOSWITCH. What's interesting about this one is where it goes up on the grab handle. It looks real factory. It's only got 4 outputs though, so I think that's all I'm going to need in this Mojave. Let's open this up. Let's see what's inside of it. I've never even seen it other than on Instagram. Hi. Hi. Never seen it other than on Instagram, so hopefully it's a good piece. If it's not, then we may be maybe redoing this, but it's going down to Exodus next week. We're going to put a front locker in it and re-gear it. And no, I don't want to hear about it. I know it's a Mojave. It's not supposed to have a front locker. I don't care. I'm putting one in it. So you haters deal with that. This is what it's going to get. So let's get rolling. Kind of curious what this is going to look like because it was super cheap. Which, you know, I've always been told cheap isn't good and good isn't cheap, so I'm gonna find out for sure. It did come with a cool sticker for those of you who want to level up your off-road skills. Instructions, wire ties, cool. It's looking good. Let's see what's in this bag. All right, let's see. Oh, this is the actual switch. Check that out. Okay, I like that. It's got good feedback. Little connector. So cool. I was worried about whether this was going to, you know, look kind of junky, jank. So we're kind of going for that factory look, OEM kind of style. And I think this is not going to be awful. This is going to be great. Let's see what else is in there. Okay. Wow. Yeah, this is a big old piece. So I'm guessing it's going to be over by, we'll see, but it's probably over by the battery. There's the cables, there's the lever, goes to the switch. Looks like, okay, so these are waterproof grommets. Put the wire through, see what this looks like inside. Okay, all right, so what these are, actual relays. So it's not digital like the SPOD is and the Switch Pro. It's still got relays in it like that, but I guess that's good. That's okay. But that probably explains the size and the price. Well, let's get this thing installed. See how it works. Just got this bolted in place loosely. Remove the bolt from the fender. Started here at the most forward one. There was an open screw here, bolt missing, possibly, or maybe not even installed from the factory. I just moved it from that location to that location, sealed it up. Then I'm going to, you know, the instructions say to drop the window like 15 degrees over here. Pull this cover panel off and bring the control cable up through there. I typically don't do that. There's a grommet down here that I use to get in and out of the cab. And then since I ran the Switch Pro and the SPOD, since I ran the Switch Pro and the SPOD through the grommet, let's just check it out and see what this is like, and then I'll let you know which way I like better. But we'll follow the instructions for now on this thing until I feel like they're wrong. But so far they look like they're great instructions. I did actually read them. Pretty clear about what you should do, so I'm gonna get back to it. Yeah, I gotta take 4 of these Torx 40 bolts out of the front windshield if I'm going to follow the instructions for this experiment, and run it the way they suggest, and then pop these freedom tops off, lean the windshield down. Well, the camera girls help for that because I think about 15 degrees or whatever is be enough to get it up in there according to the instructions. And I don't want to mess up my windshield wipers, which is notorious for happening if you don't take them off when you lower the windshield. So we're just going to lean it back a little bit. So finish pulling all of these out. And should we right here in a second. This one was really quiet. Are you filming? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm just complaining, as you heard. This is probably well, it's not probably, it is the quietest Jeep that I've had up here. There's not hardly any wind noise up on the header, which like Rooster and even Clifford before that both whistled a little bit up here, and this one's dead silent, so I'm probably gonna mess that up by dropping this windshield. Oh, I hope not, but we'll see. So got one more to pull off, and we'll take these Freedom Tops and drop this thing. See what happens when you run camera for me.
Yeah.
This isn't really her thing. She likes to just drink coffee, read a book, and sit on heated seats when we're up in the mountains. Holy cow. All the years I've owned Jeeps, the first time I've ever taken the windshield loose. So, God, I hope I don't regret it. All right, well, let me run this wire through the cowl, and then we'll go up this thing and see what we get. I'm gonna drill a hole. Show you how ready I am to feed the control cable through. So in their instructions, they actually drill this while it's in the Jeep, but there are some control wires of Jeep's own that run it through there. So I chose not to do that. I've just got it here on the table. I'm gonna drill a little bit of a pilot hole, and then I'm gonna drill a 1/2 inch hole and see if I can get control wire through that. I may have to wallow it around a little bit, but after that, it's just gonna be pulling wire. Got it on a slow setting, and we'll just go through it. Put a dimple in it with this, but it's still walk on me, so might watch out for that when you're doing this, but I think we're still gonna be all right. I'm below the latch. Just go through this one slow as we can. Just augering in, which is the kind of what you run into when you drill a pilot hole sometimes, but that worked out good. There's the hole. See how close we are. We'll probably have to ream it out a little bit, but not much. Last time I did this, I was installing a Switch Pro in the parking lot of Exodus 4x4 on the Saturday before we left the Baja on Sunday. So at least it's 52 degrees out here now instead of 80 some odd degrees there. A little bit more and we're good to go, and then I'll run these wires and let the camera person go drink coffee. All right, we've got it installed. It looks great. Looks pretty daggum good, I think. Kind of fits the interior. While we had all this out, I went and installed the head unit for my radio up there, so that's what took a little bit longer. This install, less than an hour, even pulling the windshield down, super easy. You can set the colors of this thing. I've got them set to white. When you activate them, it turns amber. You can hear it click because they are physical relays. So that's one of the things. I'll just shut this off. So let me flip this camera around real quick. So I did have to read the instructions because I was curious about something. There are, I'll show you here in a second, there's 40 amp relays in here, but there's 30 amp switches, or sorry, 30 amp fuses on the other side. And that had me curious, so I did read the instructions. And it looks like 30 amps is the max for these 4 channels that come in this particular model. And if you're running a device that's a 15 amp device, they suggest that you drop that 30 amp fuse down to a 15 or down to a 5 or whatever it is to match the max draw to protect that device. So we'll do that. So I was wrong earlier in the video when I said it was 40 amp. It is 40 amp relays, but you know, that fuse is your fuse. So 30 amps is the max on this. It's gonna run, you know, Baja design lights, great, it'll chase lights, things like that. But the air compressor, probably not, because I got a twin and it pulls a little bit more than 30 amps on the startup. So I think I'll just blow fuses. So we'll have to plan B that thing. I was able to run it off of Switch Pro by coupling 2 of the cables together. Got some extra voltage and it held just fine and worked great. Ran it that way for a year. Didn't have any issues and ran it a lot. I mean, airing up 40s, that compressor runs a long time, and lockers, you know, you tend to start and stop that thing a lot too. You know, if you bleeding a little air off as you're wheeling, it'll run that compressor. So definitely got cycled, definitely worked the Switch Pro out. So if that's a concern to run your air compressor off of your Switch Pro, which if you're running lockers, it's probably the way to go. Or if you have the upfitter switches, I guess they're not upfitter switches in a Jeep. You know, we got Broncos around here too. So we tend to mix the terminology up, but if you have the factory switches in your Jeep, you might want to run your compressor off of that. And then you could use these for, you know, for accessories. They're in a really handy place up there. You know, if you drive right-handed, you got your left-handed up there on that handle, you can run those switches. It's not uncomfortable. It's a decent location. I happen to drive left-handed, keep my right hand on the gear shifter most of the time or near it. But man, those factory switches down behind that gear shifter are just too far out of the way. So we'll play around this, see what we think, see how we like it, give you some more feedback. I'm gonna flip this around and let you look at this thing. This thing is an elephant under the hood. It is humongous compared to the other one. So if that's a deal for you, be aware of that. But at that price, you can probably tolerate some things just based on size. So here it is installed. Like I was saying earlier, there's the fuses. Those are 30 amp. I believe you should match them to the device you're running to keep that safe. Here's where your leads to your devices that you're going to be controlling come through. These are little rubber grommets that open up holes that go inside the case. I have this open because I was considering running a jumper to turn this on with the AC, turn it off when the key goes off. I haven't made up my mind on that yet, so I may throw that in there. There that one goes, and there's that one. So that's what it looks like. It's a profile coming back around, the lid on it like that, sits on top of your battery. I don't think it's too big of a deal setting up there like that. 2 bolts to take it out. So there you go. I went ahead and hooked up the AC wire to this thing, flipped the switch to activate it. And what's great about that is if you have it powered on, you shut off the ignition, power back on the ignition, the controller comes back on. And if you have any of the accessories on, like LP6s or whatever, it remembers state. So if you've got it turned on and you got the LP6s on, you shut the car off or the vehicle off, turn it back on, unit's gonna come on, the LP6s are gonna come back on. At least that's what it's doing right now. I don't know if that's by design, but that's what I'm experiencing. And I like that because if you do have your radio hooked up to it for whatever reason or anything internal that you want to be on, when you start it, it's gonna remember position and continue to do that. So that's really cool. Other than that, I haven't been able to find any of the stuff that I read online that you could do like a high-low toggle so that 2 switches can't be on at the same time. Like with LP6s, you have a high beam and a low beam. You don't want those on at the same time. That concerns me with this because this thing, we're putting LP6s on it, and I like to do them where they're toggled. You hit the high beam, the low beam goes off. Hit the low beam, the high beam goes off. So they're latched together like that. I don't see an option to do that. So yeah, I guess I'll just hook up the high beams. Yeah, I wish I had done more research on that part. But man, let's give it a chance and see how it goes. So I'm signing off again. We'll catch you wheelers later.